Welcome to Command Control Power, the longest-running Apple consulting podcast. For over 10 years, we've produced weekly episodes featuring epic tales of tech support and troubleshooting, discussions about managing our clients and businesses, and interviews with colleagues and vendors. For our pro listeners, we offer Patreon-exclusive shows. This private podcast feed is tailor-made for IT professionals looking for advice and guidance on the more challenging aspects of running your practice, working with your clients and employees, and managing your fleets of devices. For a modest monthly contribution, you'll unlock a world of deeper Apple expertise, meaningful connections, and a shared passion for Apple technology. Simply visit commandcontrolpower.com and click support. Command Control Power is brought to you commercial-free thanks to the support of our community. Our VIP supporters include Adobe, Watchman Monitoring, Tidbits Content Network, and Cirrus Partners. Thanks very much to our VIP supporters, and thanks to all of our patrons for supporting the show. Welcome to another episode of Command Control Power.
Are you welcoming me? Thank you.
I'm welcoming you. I'm welcoming everybody. Yeah. Hey, we're all on our iPhone cameras now, and I fixed mine. My soft focus was due to a smudge on my wide-angle lens, apparently. So
I was saying Joe's lens looks so fuzzy. He could have done a layout for Penthouse. You know how they always had the fuzzy pictures?
right.
No, I have no idea what you're talking about, Jerry.
Yeah, I don't either, Jerry.
Sure.
It's just you, man.
Back in my day, that was the only thing. Paper. We were dealing with paper when you were in high school.
That's funny.
You couldn't go to the electronics for anything
That's
exciting.
Right.
We went off the rails in the first 30 seconds of the show.
Yeah, we really are pretty far off. But Sam, what are your days like lately? I'm curious. I know you've been slow on the chat. I don't have a problem with it, but I've just noticed, and I know
Jerry chatted you on the sides. What's Sam's deal? Where is he?
Not today, but he sometimes does that. But yes, not today.
Yeah, when you're conspicuously absent.
So what's going on? How's
we all have those
lately?
days, right? Where we're just in the thick of it or moving around place to place. And that's just, the last couple of days. I already knew these days were going to be like that. So it's not, oh my God, what happened? It was just crazy days that were already planned. So I was actually in Manhattan yesterday for the first time in a while. And I had a long day on site with a customer there. So we were in the thick of it, having discussions and things like that. So I barely even looked at messages. And then when I took the train ride back, because we went to a little social gathering afterwards, I zonked out as soon as I sat on the train. I just sat down. I actually finished up a gyro that I bought in the city. I ate it all up and I just zonked out. I think I was snoring because the woman next to me looked at me when I woke up and I was like, sorry. And I woke up just in time for my train stop. The conductor said, "East Norwalk." And I was like, "Oh, that's me." And I hopped up and ran out of the train. But
nice.
Naps
are great.
You looks like you need a shave. She probably thought you were a hobo. A hobo on the train.
Yeah, it's possible. There are those that happens a lot, at least on the subways.
Hey man, naps are underrated. I just did a quick little trip back east to see my favorite musician turn 60 for I probably mentioned the show.
I'm a little bit older than that, Joe. I'm a little bit older than that.
You weren't playing that weekend, but
no.
My other favorite musician was playing Maynard James Keenan from Tool. It turned 60 and did a whole tour, maybe 10 shows or something. Somebody you would recognize, Jerry, Sean Lennon showed up for the show to play some guitar. Yeah. So that was like a surprise. They didn't announce it, but we saw this 2 shows at Red Rocks and it was an amazing show. It was Primus, A Perfect Circle, and Pussifer, Maynard's 2 bands plus Primus. And so it was just an amazing, like, round robin. They have one band do 3 songs and other musicians from the other bands are participating. And then they just switch bands, and the other guys from the other bands are sitting watching that band. And so you're watching them enjoy the music on stage while the other band's playing. So it's 2.5 or 3 hours of just uninterrupted, awesome music from some of my favorite artists. And it was great. So I flew back for that. 2 nights there, flew back, and I needed a nap like the last 2 days. And so I'm a big fan of the nap when I can actually let myself sleep. Because usually I'm like, oh man, I got to get back to. Usually I got to get back to Jerry on text, but I got to get back to a client or
Can't ignore me,
right,
for too long.
What was that Seinfeld episode when Kramer was just like sleeping in 15-minute increments or something like that? It was something weird. Like
the Da Vinci, that's the Da Vinci sleep. Yeah, Leonardo da Vinci did this thing. He would sleep for like 15 or 20 minutes, I think, 4 times. I don't know. It was like some weird cycle. He'd be up for 4 hours and then sleep for 15 minutes or an hour, I forget. And Kramer was trying to do that. Hijinks ensued. Yeah, right.
I've been seeing a lot of Seinfeld clips on my social media feeds lately, so it's good to get back into that show. It was awesome.
Totally. It's a great show. Yeah, classic. So what about you, Jerry? I know you've been on the opposite end of the spectrum from Sam. Do you want to share what you're going through with listeners?
You mean Sam's off the hot plate? You're going to let him go that easy? Just say, I've been busy. And that's it.
Hit me.
Sleeping on the train. Yeah, I got the story. No, what? Okay, why don't you ask Sam some questions? What do we want to know more about?
What's your name, Sam?
Yeah. It's right there at the bottom, Jerry, right?
Yeah,
right here.
That's right.
There you go.
Yeah.
This is wonderful. I always try to prepare for the shows, and I did give you guys fair warning when I joined you tonight, earlier in the day. So I am not going to be able to take the ball tonight and run with it.
That's
fair enough.
We can always carry you.
I did make time knowing that. I made some time. I reviewed my notes. So I have a little bit of an agenda we can riff on here. The first thing, I want to get some feedback. If anybody out there has seen this issue, it's a really weird one. In Outlook, the reading pane, which is basically like where you look at every email, it's either on the right-hand side or you can put it on the bottom, like the Mail app. Mail, I think, calls it like the preview pane or something, and they call it the reading pane in Outlook. Or you just double-click on an email message in the list, and you've got the email in its own window. That's blank. So it's ironic. The whole job of an email client is so you can read your email and maybe even respond to it. And so I had this client, and it's funny to me that sometimes you talk to a client for some unrelated issue and you get through that and it's 15 minutes. And then they're like, I have you. Classic, right? While I have you. Yeah. And meanwhile, actually, I was getting ready to leave for that trip I was just talking about and wrap this call up. And it was great, ready to just tie up some loose ends and head out the door to the airport. And it was the while I have you thing. The client says, my email, I don't know, I have to do this weird thing in Outlook. I have to reply to an email in order to see it. And I'm like, what? So I go in, and sure enough, he shows me that when he clicks on an email on the list, he sees a total blank white square. That's all he sees. You see the headers. So you see from and the subject and I guess the to. So you see those headers at the top, but then where the body of the message should be, it's just literally a blank white box. It's just blank. And so he's showing me this and I'm like, all right, let me quit and reopen Outlook. I don't know, like just really basic stuff. And I said, how long has this been going on? And he's, a long time, like weeks now. Okay. And so what are you doing to work around this? So he'll click reply in the email. And then in his response that he's composing, it shows the quoted message. So he can read his email by starting a reply and then reading it. And then if he has to reply, great. If he doesn't have to reply, he's like, now I'm really worried that I'm going to like reply to messages that I don't intend to reply to or forward messages that I don't intend to forward. How long has this been going on? He's a long time now. Okay. So I start researching it. I find other examples, of course, in the forums from Microsoft, on Reddit, all this stuff. No solutions. I find a comprehensive one. I love these when it's, here's all the things I've tried, which didn't work. And it's everything I would otherwise try. It's delete the preferences, reinstall Outlook, just go down the whole list. In one case, he said, this person online said, I tried, this worked, but unfortunately after a day, the issue came back. So I'm just like, this is hopeless. I'm not going to try anything. Like, I'm going to see if the collective has seen anything too. Speaking of which, we've got some feedback in the chat already. So Mike Kingsley says something to do with the default font. That's an interesting question. I didn't try changing the default font. What's weird is it doesn't even show if somebody has an image or logo or something in their signature. It just shows nothing, absolutely nothing. I have seen a weird Outlook issue where they do something. They probably hold a key down and double tap something or press a keyboard shortcut, and they change their zoom level, which like only changes the zoom in the body of the message. So oftentimes it'll be, they zoomed it to 10%. So now they have their font set to 11 points, which is totally normal. And then, but it's like tiny, minuscule type. And so you go into the format menu and then zoom, and zoom is its own window that pops up and you adjust it back to 100%. So I don't think that was the issue because unless, I don't know, can you zoom it to 0? Like maybe he zoomed it to 0. I didn't think of that. So maybe I should check that, just talking this out. But yeah,
it shouldn't be possible.
I know. This is exactly. Yeah.
I know the answer to this question, Joe. You're saying, because people are going to be thinking this, you're in the air quotes new Outlook, but you're saying this is in the classic one as well.
This was actually in the new Outlook, which a lot of the employees of this client are using. And one report online said it was both the new and the legacy Outlook. Okay. So
and what happens?
I'm not going to bother. Yeah.
if you actually double click the message. So it opens up in its own little window.
Same thing. I was thinking that too. Okay, maybe, but nope. And he's on the latest Outlook. So yeah, Mike, if you do see, if you've seen it once before, if you remember how to solve it, that would be much appreciated.
Before we move on, I have a client who does this in Apple Mail, actually a whole group of them within the same company, where how the classic view in Apple Mail is the 3 panes, right? The email boxes on the left, and then the list of the emails that came in, and then down underneath it is the preview pane that they take and I might have mentioned this on the show, they take the preview pane and they shut it all the way down so that they can't see it. And they think that because they can't see it, it's like the ostrich thing where they stick their head in the sand and they'll be safe because they can't see what's going on. They figure they're going to be protected from any kind of malware or any kind of intrusion via email because they've got the preview not showing on their screen and they're safe. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that stuff goes around. That advice. At some point, somebody said, "Don't click on the message because then the junk mail people know reading it." It is true, right? But they know.
That's the least of the worries. Apple.
Yeah, exactly. Also, Apple, if you're using Apple Mail, it should protect you against that. But Mr. Apple might know. Where's our
Mr. Apple?
Mr. Apple, right? I don't know when that started, but it's never going to end. There's
never
just
there it is.
Spotlight Mr. Apple here. Yeah.
Yeah. I think you got issues with Outlook. And every time I complain about the Apple Mail side of things, people are like, why are you still using Apple Mail for Exchange? Like, I get yelled at all the time. And it's one of the things, like, I always tell people that sometimes you have some old school habits that you won't let go of, even though it's not good for you. And I'm constantly telling other people that they shouldn't be doing that. And I'm so like, I'm a glutton for punishment with Apple Mail and Calendar. My goodness. I went through, not to get too sidetracked, but I went through a long time of I realized it one day when my appointments weren't showing up and I missed a meeting that my Apple Calendar was not syncing up again. So I went through the whole business of turning off the calendar and removing some P lists, and it wasn't really working. And I ended up having to trash everything to do with calendar, remove the Exchange account, reboot the computer, re-add the Exchange account. And even then, for a while, it wasn't syncing. It wasn't coming back. My iCloud calendar was back, but my Exchange calendar wasn't. And then finally it popped again.
Wow.
And I don't know how long it's going to last, though. Between that and Apple Mail just deciding to crap the bed and not deliver new messages periodically, this is not my work tool. It should not be. I should be using probably Outlook, but I hate it. I
know. I get it. It's the same for me. And I also like using mail to have that level of familiarity with what most of my clients use. Even business clients, a lot of times they're using it. But Outlook's not perfect either to this point. This is like maybe the third time that Zoom issue happened, and they're like, I can't see the email, that I'm replying to or whatever. Right. And it's this minuscule thing. Now I know. Now this is like the third time I've solved it, and I'll send them the instructions in case it happens again. Go to format, go to Zoom, set the Zoom back to 100%. But why is it not displayed in the interface? Why is it so easy to set your Zoom to 14%? Who's setting the Zoom to 14% or whatever like that? So there's little glitchy things. And now with this reading pane thing, it's not perfect either. But Apple Mail just has basic issues. Oh, it's not downloading your mail. No problem. Just quit and reopen mail. Why should I need to do that? It's just, again, this goes back to software. My whole thing is like software should have self-healing properties. Can't Apple detect in the log that something's wrong? It's just not loading new messages, and it probably should be, and just quit and reopen, or just suggest a fix, or better yet, fix the underlying bug or something. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it shouldn't seem that hard. Like, I do get my Apple message or my messages from iCloud. So that part is working. So maybe it sees that and going, I'm working fine, but there should be a way to delineate the different accounts that you have and say, this one has not had activity. And maybe just an alert. Hey, we should restart the service. Do you want to do that? Something to prompt the user. It's maybe not an automated restart because that would be too interrupt the user too much, but something. It should. I don't want to have to write some kind of Apple script to make that happen. That should be built in.
Exactly. I'm not I'm not a software engineer. I don't work for Apple. And yet I have my same thoughts of like, I can think of how to solve this. And I think we're seeing stuff like, because we have whatever number of clients we're supporting across third-party software, lots of different like uncontrolled environments and things. And maybe we're seeing more than what Apple quality assurance sees. Is that possible? And maybe they should hire us to deal with that stuff.
I'm a Dr. Jim, not a miracle worker.
Okay, you guys both know the reference. What is the reference now for the listeners?
Little Joe. We're not even going to tell you.
That's you say like Dr. Jim. You have to say it with the
right.
That was a free. I use Apple Mail, and I use it because of the Daylight integration. DaylightMac.com, everybody. DaylightMac.com. By the way, my revenue stream has been down from that website. I don't know what's going on with Google Ads, but it's not as wonderful as it was the last couple of years.
Maybe now's the time to sell it to them. Didn't they make you an offer at one point?
No, I'm willing to take all offers. Anyone listening? Okay. But earlier this week, I solved the issue with my computer spontaneously rebooting. But thank you, Joe. But my computer just out of the blue, like Monday night, spontaneously rebooted, and it came back up and all my signatures were gone in Apple Mail. And that's never happened to me. And if I got a phone call from somebody saying, "Oh, my signatures are gone," I would have thought, okay, all right, step away.
What did you do? Yeah.
What did you do?
Yeah.
And I rebooted my Mac and they didn't come back. And I'm not doing anything special with the signatures. I'm not using any sort of special plugin. There's one plugin, it's not Mail Butler, but or maybe that is it. Yeah. You can design your own signatures. So I had to pull it from one of my 57 backups that I make on a 4-hour basis.
I think you're down from 60, so that's an improvement.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah,
and I dropped
down to the 3-2-1 at some point, Jerry. You'll get back to the norm.
I replaced the signature folder, and they all came back. Bob's your uncle, but that shouldn't happen, right?
No, exactly. Yeah, I've actually seen some stuff like that. I made a note of, I don't know, because yours was a spontaneous reboot, so maybe that had a worse effect. But I had an issue where it was either an update or a restart, and the hot corners just stopped working. Like I noticed one day I went to do my hot corner thing, and it just didn't work. And I went into the setting and it just wasn't there. This was working yesterday. So like, why? Why does stuff like that happen? Maybe that's a self-healing thing. Like maybe Apple detects a plist is corrupt or something and just says, we're just going to blow that one away. But yeah, you'd think it would have a backup or something to be able to do that. But so my curiosity there is, did you use the syncing, in iCloud, mail syncing of mail app settings or whatever? So I wonder if that was a layer to it, the phone could have had a glitch, which then propagated the deletion of the signatures to all devices or something, maybe right between devices. But weird stuff, man. Weird stuff.
As you said, like even Outlook having the issues, how are you supposed to say go to Outlook then? It's just there's no good. I don't know. I haven't found that one perfect tool. And not that I've looked that far out of that range. It's really just, what was that we used? Was it Airmail or something back in the day? Do you guys remember that tool?
Oh, yeah, you did. I never did, but
yeah, I think I gave it a try because I was so fed up. And that's how many years this Apple Mail thing has been happening. I don't remember the name of the replacement tool that I used, but yeah, I don't know. I like the look and feel. I like the separation of the calendar. I like all that it offers. The one big thing that I don't get, though, that is a problem is it doesn't consistently sync with, if I want to have delegate access to someone else's calendar in my company, Apple Mail just does not keep that in sync, or Apple Calendar. Never. It just never keeps it. So I have to constantly leave Outlook open sometimes, just the calendar option to just see people's calendars throughout the day. So, like I said, it's just, I don't have one tool. It's ridiculous.
Is it supposed to be supported to have access to the delegated calendars? Because I think I have that in Calendar, but through Google Workspace as opposed to Microsoft 365 or anything else.
Yeah, like in your settings for the Calendar app, you can go to the Exchange and go to delegation. And you should be able to see or add the users that you have delegate access to. And then they'll show up eventually in the sidebar of your calendars. It usually happens at least once. But then I noticed the syncing just doesn't perform after that. I see.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, it's a mess. And Siri's talking to me. Thanks anyway, Siri.
You know why this is happening though, guys?
Why?
Because PCs are for business and Mac is for home.
I heard that in a meeting yesterday.
Really?
Yeah.
Tell us. I want to hear that.
It was almost that exact quote. Because we were discussing.
How old was the person? How old was?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Actually, not. I don't think it was an age thing. It was just like a statement because they were very Microsoft driven. A good person. I like working with this person, but it was just like a statement after we were talking about enrolling an iPad into MDM and something that it was an enrollment thing that they didn't agree with. And that's what he said. He was like, Apple is for home devices. And I was like, oh man, I like you, man. Why are you going that way?
Right.
During these sensitive times, you're not supposed to say these things, but did you feel like punching him in the head at that point?
No, if I didn't like him, maybe, but I liked him. Like we get along. I just did not agree with the statement at all.
Just jack him up in the hallway and
listen. You ever say that again?
Knocking a little sense into him. Yeah,
I had a similar thing with like obviously a PC guy recently who runs a mail server, and the issue was that one of oh man, I have so much more to share about this on the Patreon show, but
Joe called me about this one.
Yeah, you got to hear some of it, Jerry. But so we're doing a mail migration, and it's one of these things where they're like, we have a standard password. The whole concept of a standard password is horrendous. Please don't ever say I have a standard password again. So
those words don't belong together in the same sentence. Yeah,
exactly.
Standard,
that's a total disqualifier. Yeah. And of course, the client is fully on board. They're like, we like having a standard password, and I'm like, please stop. And they have this account we're migrating that like the standard password wasn't working, and they didn't have it documented, and it's not used that often by people. Whatever. The previous mail server guy was like, all right, I'm going to reset it. He emails the password for that account, and it's a password. And so everybody's copied on it too. This is great. And I could recognize the password.
It's okay that they're copied, Joe, because it's standard. Everyone knows it.
It's standard. They knew it anyway. Exactly. So I'm just like, okay, I see a pattern here. It's like client name ABC ! Or whatever. And I'm like, okay, so this is a bad password. And I think I've seen it before also. This is not good. And I'm replying like, this is a bad idea, whatever. And then he follows up and says, the password, that account was sending like boatloads of spam. So I changed it again to client name ABCD ! Or whatever. Great solution. Also, if that's your quote standard password for all these other addresses, did it occur to you that a spammer who somehow, magically figured out how to send spam from that one account that's using the standard password might also be able to send junk from any number of other accounts that are using the same password or a very slight variation of that password. So we're getting in this conversation about the password is compromised. That's the problem here. And he's actually, the most recent time that they had a compromise, it was malware. And I said, really? Malware on what? Oh, the user's iPhone. And I'm like, that's probably not true. And I'm like, really? I'm like, that's a big claim to say that you had malware on an iPhone sending spam, and not the much more likely solution of using a password for 20 years. That's a terrible password to begin with, and making it your standard password. And he's, oh, that's a big claim that the iPhone has malware. He's like, don't tell me you're one of these guys that says Macs don't get viruses. I just let it go. I didn't want to get into it. Yeah, okay, you can get viruses, and an iPhone in theory can have a virus, but don't you think that the issue is much more likely this compromised password? It's just bothers me. I let it slide. I'm like, we're migrating.
Steam out of the ears.
No, we're migrating like as fast as possible away from this, and it was as fast as possible. Happens to be 2 years in the making at this point, but here we are.
And didn't you tell me he was supporting his position by telling you of all these really
don't even mention people? Yeah, please say no more.
No names, but he was saying like,
oh yeah.
I manage Hillary Clinton's email server and that sort of thing, right?
Is that a badge of honor, though? But yeah, effectively, he was saying stuff like that, and like thousands and thousands and thousands of clients was like
Fortune 500 companies he was mentioning.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Small countries.
Wow, I'm making notes. I'm like, remind me to reach out to those people about their poorly managed email. Yeah, just going back to iCal here. So Mike is saying in the chat, I'm highlighting for the people watching the show at home on YouTube, iCal cannot mark all day events as busy. Which you can do in Outlook, apparently. And Mike is saying the issue is that therefore you can't block off a day and Simply Meet or Calendly or similar by marking like the all day thing as consider me busy at that time. So I just make an all day event. I just drag it from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. or whatever for those days, typically anyway. But the other thing I've noticed about this in iCal or calendar, speaking of that, Sam, is when I have Tim's calendar and it works for me. So I don't have the issue you're having where it's not syncing, and I have Tim's, Judy's, whatever. They're all delegated, but I'm using Google Workspace. So this could be an active sync versus whatever Google's doing kind of thing.
Yeah, could be.
But the issue there is that I get Tim's alerts in my notification center, and I go in to get info on his calendar and I say, ignore alerts, right? It should be simple. There's a built-in function to do that. And then yet it just, a day goes by and then it just resets that setting apparently. And so I'm getting his alerts again. And I just try it again and it happens again. And I'm like, all right, thanks Google, thanks Apple. I don't know who to blame. So yeah, there's a lot of little glitchy things like that where you think this is literally one of the most basic apps in the system. You're talking mail, calendar, contacts. This is why people have computers and they can't quite get that right. So super frustrating, but
I think the Blackberries are going to make a comeback. That's what I right now.
Write this down. For buttons.
That's right. Exactly.
Yep. Actually, a little win for Calendly because I switched from, what was it? What did we use, Jerry? Was it Simply Meet? I can't remember, but
no, Joe knows.
Yeah,
Joe's the hive memory here.
Yeah, Harmonizely,
right? And they got bought by another company. So
Joe's like my daughter. I forget things all the time, and I'm like, where did we see that? And she's blah 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 blah. And I'm like, yes, that's what we did.
Yeah.
So, thank you, Joe.
I think I followed your lead, Gary, going to Calendly from Harmonizely. You jumped ship early when they got bought out, and I just saw it deteriorate. But one little win for Calendly that I didn't. Maybe it's been there for a little while, but I just noticed because as we all know, I don't like giving out my calendar, and that's
what's the point? Why would you have a calendar if you were going to give?
Why would you want people to schedule appointments with you?
Let's not get into this again because I have so many counterpoints to this. But one big thing that I really loved is you could set up like an ad hoc meeting and just select on a particular week or day or whatever. You can just at that moment select times that you want to be free instead of just you could pick a week and then the free times are the free times. But I could say, yes, I know I'm free right now, but I don't want those to be selectable. So you choose your times throughout the week. It was actually pretty awesome. I just clicked a bunch of times that I wanted to be free and I sent the link to them. And and if they click on that link in the future, no joy. They can't get anywhere and they can't find it.
Here's what Sam's link looks like, Joe. It's no.
Yeah, what's the problem? I sent you the link. Just go ahead and book.
We only have one time at 9:30 on Tuesday. I'm like, yep,
exactly.
Find a convenient time. What do you want me to do?
No, I love when my non-plan, because I will send the link and I'll use my generic one to my non-plan people sometimes. And so if you're on a plan, I'll call you, we'll make a time, whatever. Like I'll make it easy for you. If you're not on a plan, I send you the link, and oftentimes there's one appointment next Tuesday, another appointment the following Friday or something. Yeah. And they write me back and I don't see any availability. It seems really hard to schedule you. I'm like, sign up then. Right. That's what we offer with the plan. Yeah.
Your calendar will magically open once they sign up.
It's true. I have to save time for those people that are paying for the privilege. So
no, in my case, all my dates are wide open. I've taken my answering machine off, so I haven't used Smith AI since the beginning of April.
Okay.
Yeah, you can call me at any time. I'll do work for you. Basically,
that was our joke when you say put your calendar link in the emails and just let it ride. We're going to put your calendar link in our emails and just have them schedule with you. That's the solution here. Yeah. Sure. As long as we're bashing vendors, because we're sitting here bashing Apple. I forget, I bashed Microsoft earlier. Jerry's bashing Sam's clients. It's a bashing kind of show. You wanted to punch the guy or whatever? Was that the?
He wasn't a client. He was a colleague, right?
A colleague.
He was a client.
Okay.
The one that said Apple's for home users. That one.
Yeah. Joe's overly sensitive to do no harm is Joe's motto.
I agree.
I'm saying a little harm couldn't hurt now and then.
A little harm never hurt anyone. Yeah. I'm gonna try to bash Adobe now because I keep referring back to this awesome little weekend trip I had. I was literally back east for 2 days. I was spending like the very limited quality time I had with Ashley's sister, her boyfriend. Had an hour before we're heading to the airport. We got breakfast.
You had eggplant. I remember that.
I don't
your
even, I'm not
parents'
even on
house.
social media. How did you, oh, I must have mentioned it on our little mini
Yeah.
social
Well, I
channel.
love-
That's my favorite. Eggplant Parmesan is like my family favorite. Yeah, we had that, but then we had actually breakfast. Have you guys ever been to this place in Queens? It's called Comfortland. Sam, you may have been. You try to get around to the city.
Sam, you're a world traveler.
Amazing breakfast place. Like, you order at a little window and the guy yells the order back to the staff, and they have their own little internal references and things. It's great. They had great donuts. It was a really fun experience. So we had some breakfast there. I get this message on my iPhone, an email from a client saying, no, I ignore those usually when I'm with family. But no, so I checked my email. I make the mistake, but actually I'm glad I did, of scanning my email. And it's from one of my important clients. Please read urgent or something like that as a subject line. I'm like, great. So their staff is working over the weekend. They have a deadline coming up in the week. So it's like Sunday and they're working, and two of the important employees lost access to the Adobe suite. So what the heck's going on? And I remembered there was an email from Adobe end of last week saying, thanks for renewing, that kind of thing. They're on a monthly plan that renews yearly, and they get slightly better pricing to commit to the year. But of course, Adobe then makes it hard to downsize licenses and make changes and things like that. You can ask them for special accommodations and stuff, but they don't let you just say, I want to go from 15 users to 14 because we fired somebody. You have to ask for the permission to downsize because you've committed to a year of 15 licenses or whatever it is. So Adobe helpfully renews that every year, and they send you a thing that says, here's your renewal notice, whatever. Here's your pricing, same as before, same number of licenses. Great. So we had gotten one of those emails. So now it's Sunday and they can't access Adobe. What's going on? So I log into the Adobe portal and I see that, I forget what my clue was, but I look at the two users in question and I see they have no apps assigned to them. So I get on Adobe chat and what's going on? Why is our license, what is happening with our account? And they said, oh, it's no problem. You just have no apps assigned to any of your users. What happened? He's like, you need to assign them to your users. We didn't unassign them. What's going on? So they say, with your renewal, you just need to assign the licenses again. Have you guys ever seen that? I've never seen that before. Okay.
No.
You're paying them a subscription price. No one is happy about that. Maybe clients are finally willing to do it now, but no one was ever happy about being on the hook for Adobe licensing monthly or yearly. So the least they could do is just keep the software working throughout the year if you're doing that, right? So I'm paying you every month. Like, the least you could do is just let the software keep working reliably. Adobe, apparently what happened is that they are now so generously giving us this 10% discount on the Pro edition of the Adobe Creative Cloud apps. So now there's Photoshop and Photoshop Pro edition, InDesign Pro edition, and so on. And if you look at the renewal thing, it shows that. It says you have this renewal, you have the Pro apps, and it shows the old price because the Pro apps are now more expensive, but they cross it out and they put the same price as before as what you were paying for the original apps. So that's all in the renewal letter. And the renewal letter has the boilerplate of, no problem, thanks for buying these new licenses. Now just go ahead and assign them to users. So it does say that you need to do that, but it's never been needed before. And we didn't ask for Pro edition of anything. I think Pro edition means AI, probably. I don't know, like whatever. I haven't looked into it. Nobody asked for it. Nobody cares. But Adobe wants you to now sign up for the Pro apps so that next year, now the users are entrenched in the Pro edition or something. They're using one feature that wasn't there before. And now they're going to be on the hook for more money renewing next year. That's Adobe's game here. Yeah. So they're helpfully giving you a discount now so that they can raise your prices in a year. So that's what they did. And so again, like it meant that they removed the old app, which was assigned to 15 users at this company, gave us the new app, which is now assigned to nobody. So I'm in there doing support on my iPhone. The Mac is in my bag in the trunk or whatever. I'm like trying to just fix this problem for these people that are working on a Sunday. And so I'm going in and I'm assigning the license to those specific users. The interface is not great on the iPhone, but I was able to do it. And I was giving the support person a little bit of a hard time because I'm like, we didn't remove the licenses. We didn't ask for this new thing. Like, why are you making me go through this process now on a Sunday? Yeah. And he's, I don't know, he didn't have an answer for that. And I said, also, we have probably 25 or 30 users in there from off-boarded people that only work occasionally, like contractors, whatever. The people that were licensed previously, I don't have a list of those people. So I have to go from memory. I have a request about 2 specific people, but I know it affected now the 13 other people or whatever. So I had to go back to my list from the last time that we did Adobe. We implemented automatic Adobe updates. So I had a recap, thankfully, from 6 months ago of the list of employees that need the Adobe apps. So I could now cross-reference my list versus what's in the portal and re-enable the apps that they were missing. But I asked the support person, can you tell me who was licensed before you revoked it 3 days ago or whatever you did? And he's like, no, we don't have that information.
Of course not.
Totally not helpful at all. And again, you're acting like you're doing us a favor, but you just cost my client money today because I had to intervene and deal with this. You cost me half hour on a Sunday to deal with this problem. And now you're going to try to get my users hooked on this new thing that we didn't ask for. And now I'm going to have to go through this process again next year because I wasn't going to go through and say, actually, can you remove the Pro edition and then re-enable the original one, put it back the way it was? Like, I was just like, I'm moving forward at this point, but now we're going to need to do this at some point where we need to revoke the Pro edition and go back to the regular one next year, which they'll probably just raise the price on everything anyway. So it's very annoyed about that. Very cynical. Yeah.
So they, just so I understand the whole thing. So basically they removed the license from the users, but I suppose that new Pro product or whatever, they couldn't auto assign licenses because
why not? Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if there's some legal ramifications there because if, like you said, they do, and then they increase in pricing and you didn't manually take that action, that could be something that they did improperly. But still, they leave you in the lurch, though, by just saying, we'll disconnect and hopefully they'll pick the wrong one or something. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, or hopefully the users will be, no, I want the Pro edition. That's what it showed. And they'll either ask for it or they will, some of them will use some features and say, oh, now I do want this, which I get it from a business perspective, but it's kind of stuff just drives me crazy because it costs them time and energy. It costs my clients time. It costs me time and energy and money and whatever. Yeah, it's not helpful. At least give me more notice and say, in red font, bold, you will need to reassign. These licenses will go away on this day, and you will need to click a thing on each user to fix the problem. Or give me a big button that says opt into the Pro or opt out, better yet.
I'm wondering, so I ran into an issue last night, which is actually a legitimate Adobe issue, but still, I'm wondering what's going to happen. We had a user that requested an Adobe Acrobat Pro license, and when I went into the admin portal, there was one license to assign, but their credit card was expired. So it wouldn't let me assign it, which that part I get. I'm not faulting them for that. Even though we had the license, it was still expired, so they couldn't, because I'm sure it was monthly and they couldn't keep charging. So they're like, we're not going to let you do anything, which I'm okay. That's fine. But I'm wondering now if, since now that credit card expired and once they recharge the new card and we put that in, is something going to happen to those users similar to what happened to you? Or is that just when the annual ends and it shouldn't?
Probably
I don't know.
The annual. Yeah.
Now I'm a little nervous.
Know. Yeah, exactly. Now we don't know. They're just frustrating to deal with in this way. And I just find it super annoying. And still, I get it. I still want my clients to be on subscriptions because I want them to be able to have the latest and I don't have to worry about selling them a massive upgrade every 2 years or something. But at least make the subscription more reasonable, easier to deal with at the very least. So
Microsoft has aggravated me lately if we're going with that. Google's kind of ticked me off at times with their admin portal, but sometimes I've seen like on the Google end, I don't really have a lot of a thread to pull on with this, but like where group assignment and user assignments are way too delayed. And if I'm trying to do something quickly, it just won't take. Or if it's the visual aspect, even if I refresh the page, the group membership doesn't change based on what I've done. I don't know if you guys have seen that, but it's sometimes aggravating because I know it could be a delay or it could be that just my change did not take. But that's a small one because I'm trying to move fast. And it's difficult at times when I can't move fast because Google's just slowing down the wheels there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one too. I've seen that with Microsoft where something's not provisioning when you make the user and then they don't have a license for Exchange or something, even though the license shows, but they don't have a mailbox. And then I'll wait, it doesn't work. And then I get on Microsoft support and they're like, oh yeah, it's just like provisioning's delayed. It'll work. Isn't that like your job is to make mail work quickly? Like why sometimes is it a half a day wait? It's rare, thankfully, but it does. Yeah. That kind of stuff does happen. And it's like frustrating. Like you said, you don't know if you need to just do it again or
What's interesting, actually, I was just thinking about this one particular customer. We have, so their mail management tool is Google Workspace, and it works fine for them. But this was done actually before my time also. They need Microsoft for some products like Google Docs, right? So some of them aren't sufficient or they're working with other customers that need Microsoft. They actually linked up Google with Microsoft. So when you go to Microsoft to sign in and they put their domain, it redirects them to Google to authenticate through Google. So that's still their source of truth for single sign-on. And I hadn't seen that before this client, but it's interesting that Microsoft, who's usually going to be the source of truth for user accounts and credentials, it was interesting to see Microsoft change and just go, we're redirecting you to your provider, and then go over to Google and they sign in and it works. But it works well. Every once in a while it does break, but the reprovisioning isn't that bad.
Nice. Yeah. That's nice to be able to have that, like you said, the single point of truth, to be able to just have that main database in one place. Remember in the old days of like Open Directory and like trying to like achieve a similar goal, and it's like you had a lot more experience, Sam, with the golden triangle of active. Was it Active Directory, Open Directory? I forget what's the other part of the triangle. I don't. Was there
the user? So it's like their connection to the two directories. But
got it.
Yeah, wow, that's back in the day, man.
It goes way back. Yeah, no, it's a better world now. I wanted to take a pause here.
He can remember that, Sam, but he doesn't know the reference to. I'm not a miracle worker, Jim. I'm only a doctor.
I don't know if it's even memory. Like, he probably hasn't seen it, and we're not giving him the hint. We're not helping him.
Memory thing. It's just a lot of lack of experience with whatever the heck you guys are talking about. So yeah,
it was a show and also a series of movies.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And should I give you
clues?
Space. They went into space, Joe.
The Final Frontier, yes.
Oh, that show. Okay.
Yeah. He just said that show. He didn't even like
the space.
By the way, Shatner just turned 93. He's pretty amazing. Obviously, he's had a little bit of Botox work or something going on, but he looks fantastic.
Shatner, is he still? He was hosting like a show called The Unexplained. He would make these like funny faces where he'd try to be mysterious. He just looked goofy. It didn't take for me. I was just Shatner, you're being weird.
Yeah, when I'm 93, I'm going to be drooling out of both sides of my mouth. I'm close to that now. So he's my hero at this point.
Yeah, that's super impressive. So let's take a quick pause here and just thank our newest VIP supporter, Benjamin Morales of Cirrus Partners, GoCirrus.com. So that's GoCirrus.com, GoCirrus.com. And I want to just double that. Go Cirrus. That is awesome. Thank you so much for the support, Benjamin Morales of Go Cirrus and of Cirrus Partners. And also on the heels of that, I'm going to just show the banner here for the live listeners. This is a special offer for anybody listening live and participating and watching live. You can go to commandcontrolpower.com/Go Cirrus. And you will get to the page where you can order your free merch for participating in the live stream. So thank you very much for being there this week. And also thank you so much to Cirrus Partners for supporting the show at the VIP level. We really appreciate it. It's so encouraging to see that support come in. I can't speak for you guys, but I'm just like, part of me thinks, is that a typo? I really thank you guys so much. It's really meaningful to us and we really appreciate it. So commandcontrolpower.com/Go Cirrus. Get your free merch there if you're listening live now. And if you're listening to this later when it airs, that will direct to the shop where you can order merch. We have t-shirts, really awesome premium t-shirts. And we have a mug. Yours is here, Sam. I'm bringing it to Aces. So yeah, embroidered logo. It looks really cool, actually. They did a great job with it.
Wait a minute, what's happening?
It disappeared. It was there for a second. You got to turn off the background thing. Put it to your chest, and then we can see it.
Yeah. You should.
There we go. Embroidered logo in 3 different colors.
And the shirt feels like really nice too, doesn't it? It's like a really nice.
It's woven cotton, shirt. Joe. Woven cotton. But it's not too ostentatious. It's subdued. Yeah. Do they say that in Austin, Texas?
That was good, Jerry. I like that one. Yeah.
Thank you. And with some of that Cirrus in the Patreon, we can get a razor for Sam. Yeah, razor for young Sam.
Oh man, come on! I like
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah. No, thank you so much. And we do have a lot of great merch in there too. We have mugs, a water bottle, things like that. So definitely check out the merch at commandcontrolpower.com as well. And thank you again to Cirrus Partners. That's really meaningful. At the VIP letter, we mention you on air during the show once a month. We include your logo in the email newsletter that goes out to hundreds of people. You get also free t-shirts and stickers and things thanks to Patreon. We put your link and your name on our website, commandcontrolpower.com. Of course, like all patrons, you get access to our entire archive of patron-only content, as well as the back episodes of 500 something shows now. We must be approaching 600 at this point. So yeah, you get a lot of good stuff for that. And mostly like you support us and we really appreciate that. So that's huge. Thank you very much. Okay. I do want to complain about something I recommended on the show. So that's the theme of today. There's a lot of little complaints. So I still like this product. I think, Sam, did you pick one of these up or maybe you did too, Jerry? It's the Key Smart Card. A lot of generic words there, but Key Smart Card. It's like it's a Find My Network thing. It's like it's literally the thickness of a credit card.
I remember that. I didn't order one, but I do remember that. Yeah.
It's pretty cool. I forget what I paid, 40 or 50 bucks, I think. It was worth it to me to have this thing in my wallet and not have the bulge of an AirTag in there. And it's rechargeable. So you just use a MagSafe charger, just like you use for your iPhone or whatever. You lay it on that charger. It's got a symbol. This I didn't know, but it has a little symbol like where to put it, which part is the magnetic charging part, and you recharge it, and then it's a Find My thing. So it's under Find My Devices, right in your Find My app. So I like that about it. And in theory, I can find my wallet if I lose it. So the only issue is that the battery ran out and nothing alerted me to that. Like I had no way to know that. I just decided to go look for it. Are all my devices here in the Find My thing? And I forget if it even indicated, I think it does say something like it's not all features are supported or whatever, but it was totally offline. There was no finding it at all. And so again, I'm thinking like, shouldn't I have gotten an alert through the Find My app that the wallet ran out of battery? Maybe I did, but you'd think it would give you another one. They alert you 50 times about the most mundane stuff. Like you'd think your thing that you depend on to find that ran out of battery should alert you actively when that happens. And I don't think it did. I had to just manually check and recharge it and it's back in there. So hopefully it's working now, but yeah, that was a little bit of a loophole. So check your Find My devices. Yeah.
Yeah. In fairness to the manufacturer, probably they take advantage of the Apple API to do that. There's all bets are off if you're going to get a notification if the battery starts to drain. I mean, it may not be provisioned to do that. So
yeah, it's not perfect, but yeah, no, that's a good point. Maybe that's just an Apple bug and they don't have much control over it. But yeah, check your Find My devices and just, I guess, check regularly because they last about 2 years in an AirTag. So those you have to cycle those through every once in a while also.
Yeah, we put one on my dog, an AirTag, and because he takes off sometimes, but if you're in a rural area, it does no good. You can't find the dog.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah,
you have to be literally right on top of the dog to find the dog.
Yeah.
And at that point, you don't need the AirTag. He sports it. He looks sporty with it. But
yeah, they look good with the little thing hanging out. We actually left him because my dog recently got surgery, and we left him there for the surgery. And when we went back, they called us. They're like, "Your dog is making like a ringing sound, like some kind of sound." I was like, "Oh, their tag is." It's kind of funny.
At least he didn't swallow the AirTag because then it'd be ringing from the inside. That would be not ideal. How's he doing? Is he doing okay after the surgery?
Yeah, it's like an 8-week recovery. He's 4 weeks in. So
okay.
It's a long process, but
thousands of dollars, no doubt.
Oh, good Lord. I would actually tell that story on a show, but not right now. There was a whole debacle with that it has nothing to do with technology, but I'll tell you guys at some point too.
Probably a lot more money than me getting rear brakes from my wife's car, the BMW. They're the X1. You talk about going to the cleaners, but you go to the vet, it's worse.
Yeah, that price alone made me want to be a vet after that. Just switch careers.
Exactly. Yeah. Vet bills are through the roof these days.
Don't get me started. Yeah.
You know how people, I get it. But do you know how clients try to do their own technology support? Can you imagine someone trying to do their own like veterinary work? It's a good thing that people do have limits, but it's like, why do people think they can do their own computer work? Like they wouldn't try to do their own work on their car in most cases or work on their pet. It's unique to our business. It's something we have to deal with.
Speaking of animals and farms, this is a good one to leave you with. On Amazon, for those of you who get the Amazon Prime app on your TV. There's a terrific series called Clarkson's Farm with Jeremy Clarkson, who is the host of Top Gear. Is that one of those big car shows that all the sporty people watch? And so he's well known for that. He's British, and he just takes all his money and dumps it into this farm in England, and it's funny as hell. It's terrific. It's terrific stuff.
I watched it on your recommendation. It is pretty funny. You're right about pouring money into it. It's just one of those things that he's just paying way too much for tractors and all that stuff and getting them stuck in the mud. And
he loves the latest gadgets. So there's all these fantastic pieces of equipment that are being used, and he's typically bungles the job, and it's fabulous. There's some great ones in season 3. So
nice.
Start at the beginning.
Awesome. Cool. Thanks everybody for listening to another great episode of Command Control Power. Thank you to the patrons who support our work here, bringing you these great public episodes. And there's a lot more content on Patreon. So if you're not a subscriber, we really would love to have you. You can join for a month and just see how it goes. But there's tons of content we're producing. On average, I think it's 1 or 2 shows a month just for patron only. Sign up, check those out. If you like it, we'd love to have you stay on board. If not, you can always jump ship, but stay long enough to get your free merch as well. And we really appreciate everybody listening and supporting Command Control Power. Thank you all for your support. Special thanks to the following community members whose strong monthly support has sustained us for all these years. Ryan Gowdy, CoreCompetent.com. Weldon Dodd, Kanji.io. Richard Wingfield, EnvisionDesign.net. Adam Rice, AskAdam.io. Mac Admins Podcast, podcast.macadmins.org. Tim Nyberg, TheMacGuys.com. Michael Thompson, Origin84.com. Matthew Waples, Waples.net. Tom Puls, BoxIT.tech. Jerome Potters, PITPro.nl. Steve Sorbo, MacSOS.biz. Andy Espo, CallAndy.com. And Nate Sinal, WeAreAScout.com. Thank you all very much, and thanks to our patrons at every level of support. If you enjoy the show, we really would love your support. And if you already support us and can increase your monthly pledge, we really do find that encouraging. CommandControlPower.com and click support. Thanks very much for listening and for supporting the show.
Of customers of all kinds.
Am I on the cloud?
Joe spins his deeply detailed yarns all the time.
I have a whole story about this.
Sam is on the road again, phoning in from a hotel.
At least we know where I am.
Half a century combined of Apple experts.